r/ask Reddit. What's a fanbase that scares the hell out of you? The ones who are attracted to serial killers and school shooters. Edit. To all the people commenting about Joker and creepypastas and ours and all that, I'm not referring to that. I mean real criminals with actual groups such as the Columbiners. Fangirls of the Columbine shooters. Yes, it's real. The homies. Fans of James Holmes, the man who killed a 6-year-old girl among others in a movie theater in Aurora, CO. And all those people who keep fantasizing over Ted Bundy murdering them. These kinds of people are genuinely mental. Dated a hebristophile like this. She's now a psychiatric nurse. She had issues but seems to be doing much better. Is her name Harley Quinn by any chance? The fanbases of serial killers. Kira. I mean, I understand. He just wants to live a quiet life. Anyone that makes being a fan so much part of their identity that not liking, let alone disliking, their idol is a personal insult and calls for attack. Whether it's the Beehive, attacking Becky, politicians, K-pop, sports figures, anybody. Beyonce's fan base calling themselves the Beehive is great. They follow their queen and have a hive mentality. Probably read lots of BuzzFeed articles too. Beehive was already called dibs on by us Beybladers. They gotta get their own thing. K-pop stands. Take the crazy fan thing to a whole other level. Yes, I'm Korean and have had people try to befriend me, date me, speak terrible Korean to me, get angry at me when they learn I don't know some K-pop group because I'm betraying my heritage. Very not fun. Your heritage. LOL. Ah yes, the great history of K-pop. Reddit super users. What's a Reddit super user? Does it have to do with the Linux SU? PLS, can someone explain? Open bracket. Actually not kidding. Typo. I'm talking about the people who have a million karma, moderate a bunch of subs, and have personalities that mimic Reddit comment sections. People who legit would lose a piece of themselves if the site was deleted. I mean, I use Reddit all the time and have accumulated my share of karma, but some people take websites way too seriously. Creepypasta. 12-year-old girls thinking about killers as if they're you so cute. They're just misunderstood. They're not monsters. Bothers me as a horror writer. Kid, you're missing the whole ducking point here. They're meant to be monsters. If you ran up to a Slenderman and gave him a hug, he wouldn't become a big softie and say, oh, nobody ever understood me. He'd stab you to death. Edit. Holy shit, that's a lot of upvotes. And a Buffy war in the replies. It's time for me to make my getaway. Some things I should clear. Slenderman doesn't stab people apparently. I was never really into that creepypasta and unfortunately have not finished Marble Hornets yet. No spoilers please. They may be works of fiction but they can develop into obsessions with real life killers, which is far more dangerous. Look at people who idolize the Columbine shooters. As a side note to number 2 and something people brought up a lot, there was a real life case where 2 girls brought another girl into the woods and stabbed her as an attempt to get noticed by Slenderman. The girl who was stabbed survived. Let's not fight in the comments about whether or not you enjoy creepypasta. It's absolutely fine to simply enjoy the stories, and I myself really enjoy some of the older classics like Ben Drowned. Shut the duck up about Buffy. Just saying, if the general census is they're a monster, you shouldn't be looking at them with baby eyes. It'd be pretty disappointing to get stabbed to death by Slenderman. Imagine being stalked by an otherworldly horror that stretches your mind to the point of paranoid insanity only to shank you like some common crackhead. The delivery is great, but I would expect more from the payoff. Only to shank you like some common crackhead. Not even the dignity of being shanked by a greater northern spotted crackhead. Might be dating myself here, but back in the day those Homestuck fans used to scare me quite a bit, especially the ones that would come up and glomp you at cons without warning. Former Homestuck fans, was everyone like this or was it just some bad apples? I must know. Edit. For the folks who don't know, glomping is when someone runs up as fast as they can and hugs you by surprise. It's sort of like a tackle in a way, and it is usually done without asking first. It happened at a lot of anime and comic conventions in the 2000s and early 2010s, but I believe the act is banned now. Homestuck suffered from the same thing that Naruto did before it. For a lot of its fans, it was their very first big fandom, and they both didn't yet have the social tools for being good fans. and got carried away with it. It's a recurring issue in fandom, but without it we would be starved of new blood, so it's not all bad. I have a lot of dislike for the Homestuck fandom due to cosplayers. Many of them didn't know how to seal their body paint, so it got all over everyone and everything. I got glommed by some stranger and their paint got all over my cosplay right before the cosplay competition too. One year got so bad the con was told they won't be welcomed back and had to change venues the following year. The fans in Webtoon's comment section. I just read the new chapters on my Webtoons and bounce. Went there once. Never again. Ducking yes. I thought I was the only one scrolling past the cringe. Webtoons are great. Comic creators are wizards. Comment section is just a different ducking realm altogether. I thought it wasn't possible, but the comments section on Webtoon is often more cringy than a typical YouTube comment section. Undertale fangirls. I used to be in there and it was terrifying how many entitled kids on there were talking about killing people and not in the actual game. Yep, the fanbase is terrible. However, the game is amazing. It's a shame that the loud minority is how they are. Yep, I love the game and the characters and the way it works, but holy crap, there's some pretty toxic people in there. Jake Paul's imagine being trampled to death by a bunch of 11-year-olds screaming dab on them haters. How did he even get famous though? I don't get it. I stumbled across one of his videos one day and was thinking, how the duck did this guy get so rich? The reality is a company paid for him to be famous. He was signed with a digital talent manager who works with a wealthy company. They dump mass money into promoting his YouTube videos because it's pretty cheap to drive large amounts of views in the bigger picture. So, he gets huge on YT because he's forced into feeds and the company reaps the spoils because they don't make shit on his YT revenue. But they make 50% of every dollar he makes off of YouTube. So they leverage his fame and get him signed TV show deals, books, merch, and all of that, and for every million he made, they made $500,000. This is how almost every huge YouTuber became famous and how they jump from YouTube to TV and book deals. The same company that manages Jake and Logan Paul manages about 250 YouTubers. Before that they managed musicians and movie stars. But it's a lot easier to take someone with a small 250k subs YT following with a little bit of talent and blow them up into big stars than to take a random person and make them into a big movie star. Plus the YouTuber will be more loyal if you made them. Most of the YouTubers don't even know the extent that the company is dumping ad money into their videos. I'm a huge Hamilton fan, but that fan base is crazy. I've liked musicals my whole life, so when that one blew up, it was like seeing a glimpse at the 90s early 2000s Broadway fandoms again. Though I bet you Rent and Les Mis had even weirder fan bases. The Les Mis fandom is actually pretty chill, at least from what I've seen from afar. They just all sit in the corner crying about the Barricade Boys and dunking on Victor Hugo. The Phantom of the Opera fandom though. Some people are still out here standing Eric the Phantom in 2020. Andrew Lloyd Webber writing Love Never Dies like he actually had some sort of authority to write such a dumb sequel didn't help. Billie Eilish. I have gotten death threats because I said I didn't particularly care for her music. Look at her Instagram. It's so scary. Update. Please be respectful to each other in the comments. Oh, the irony. They're just edgy teenagers. They won't actually kill you probably. As an American high schooler, I would like to debate the idea that a teenager won't try to kill you. Any IRL shipping fandom has rabies. If you tell me you write fanfic about legit real people, in all seriousness I'm preparing the holy water. Very true. I'm a fan of bands like My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco, and the amount of shipping I see is just so weird, and in some places on the internet it's almost normalized, which is really creepy. To be fair, Brendan Urie leaned into it pretty hard back in the day. His ecchi anime stage gay shenanigans with Ryan were legendary, and they were definitely part of the appeal. A lot of fans in the YouTube beauty community scare me with how fast they will cancel someone or even try to ruin their lives over the smallest thing with no evidence. Cancel as in false copyright strikes? I accuse you. I have some anecdotes and screenshots of things you said without much context. My friends back me up completely and even have a few negative things to say about you before you are even capable of defending yourself. The fans of me and my friends begin brigading your media and social media, where your fans either turn on you or defend you. Both sides start to become more and more volatile. Arguments become threats. Messages become visits to your private residence. Certain inherent traits may strengthen my arguments and weaken yours. As various ists and isms get thrown around, you finally come forth with very strong, backed up evidence that clears you of any wrongdoing, and may implicate me in wrongdoing. My hardcore supporters will never believe this. Most will likely just quietly leave you alone. Things may go back to normal for you, but the damage is done. You've had some of the most vitriolic things thrown at you and it is up to you to put the pieces back together. You've just been cancelled. Those girls who are into school shooters, that's terrifying. They need serious therapy. Tumblr is a scary place. Any of y'all remember last year when that girl disappeared from her home in Florida, flew to Colorado, bought a gun and was then manhunted because she was believed to have been planning a Columbine anniversary shooting or something? Did you know that when Nicholas Cruz was put in jail, he received hundreds of love letters in the mail? Some were even nude photographs from adults. I'm not sure if they let him read any of them, though. Bronies. Adult My Little Pony fans are so bad, especially the male ones. I'm personally more a fan of the older generations and I can't tell you how many men tried to invalidate my opinion on the basis that the older show sucks. You're not a real fan if you don't like the new show. I'm so sorry that I was a little girl invested in the franchise. For little girls, you don't have to be so mean about it, LMAO. Yes, thank you. I loved the ponies as a kid, and now my daughter collects the vintage ones and retro remakes and we watch the older show and movies sometimes. But the Bronies have ruined it. They are so pushy and so aggressive about their fandom. She had asked if we could go to a pony collector convention and I told her we couldn't because I wasn't off that day. Really, I could have taken a vacation day, but I didn't want to expose her to that. We don't watch the newer show because it seems to cater more to this crowd. And the porn. Why must they turn children's horse cartoons into porn? Some, not all, of the fandom of My Hero Academia. A lot of normal fans exist, but there are some others. Edit. I understand a lot of people are not a part of this. I have just seen too many ships of very inappropriate characters that I had to reply to this. Reddit doesn't seem to be a place where a lot of this gets found. Sorry if it seems like I overgeneralized the fanbase. That wasn't my intention. Really only calling out a small part of it. My bad. Also sorry if I stirred anyone up. I didn't realize this would sort of blow up and didn't mean to piss anyone off. Sorry if I did. I also realize all fan bases can be like this. Just the one I have heard of the most is MHA. I am a part of the fan base too and love the show. Just thought I'd throw this out there. Edit 2. After reading more and more of this thread and the original, I have realized that all fandoms are the same. There are a majority good fans and a small percent that give it a bad rep. Seems to be just everything that has fans, especially as they grow. All the controversies over the stupidest things. I really enjoy the series, but damn do I hate the fandom sometimes. Exactly, I just wanna watch anime, that's all. It's a fanbase that I am a part of. I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, but the fanbase is super weird. Most of them are chill but some are batshit crazy. You did it. You summed up the vast majority of fandoms. The bigger they get, the more the crazy seems like the majority, because the crazy ones are always the biggest loud mouths. But it almost never is if it's like a normal thing like a show or something. Fans are ducking loons. What drives me the most insane is the people that claim Trump is the best president the US has ever had. Even if you think he's doing good things for the nation, there is no way in hell that he's the best. Edit. Holy crap, my first award. Thank you so much. What does that guild even mean though, lol? Fans of Donald Trump are, almost by definition, not well versed in American, or any, history. Edit. A user with Trump in her username just sent me a PM that was nothing but a few hundred poop emojis. So I guess I was wrong and Trump fans are educated, literate, reasonable people. Edit 2. Now I've got 2 PMs full of poop emojis, one of which calls me shit, but y'all have persuaded me. I think I'm gonna vote for Trump in November. I have no idea how this hasn't been said. Harry Potter obsessed fans, the fanfic, the constant worship of J.K. Rowling, Pottermore. What house are you though, comma, the new age horoscope, the idolization of Snape and Lily. If you criticize one thing, or mention that you haven't read the books 50 times, they just go ham on you. And I say this as a person with a Harry Potter tattoo. Also Ed Sheeran fans. I've been to 2 concerts and honest to duck was terrified for my well-being. These girls crush people. At one of the concerts, about 2 years after Plus came out, security had taped 1 by 1 meter squares on the floor and you had to stand in your box or you were removed. Security walked through each row and column to enforce this before he started. The crowd was so unruly during Passenger's performance that Ed himself had to threaten not to come out. Once they announced Ed was about to come out, they pushed forward to the point where security had to lift girls over the front barriers to protect them from being crushed. I actually feel safer in Offspring and Tool crowds. At least they usually respect your boundaries. There was a girl in my high school who would go to school dressed up in full-on Harry Potter robes freshman year. She also shipped incest and was kind of a beach. I feel bad for judging the entire Harry Potter fandom because of her, but she ruined the fandom for me. The online pro wrestling community can be a minefield. Oh Jesus. Hearing how people talk about Nyla Rose blows my mind. It really is true that pro wrestling world is like 50 years behind the rest of the world. I've been watching pro wrestling for nearly 30 years and it still baffles me how seriously people take it online. They get very emotional. I'm actually really scared of the Bronies. I stopped watching My Little Pony a while ago because just watching it and knowing that they exist and are watching the same thing. Confession post by a staff member at a convention. We met a little girl who was there with her family. She got a button drawn at our booth, told us all about her favorite ponies, and was overall just too damn cute. She had an MLP lanyard filled with pins she'd gotten in the vendor's room, and gave me a Fluttershy pin because she liked my cosplay. She ended up just hanging out with us for a while and been super cute. We call her Babby because she's 11 and precious. The next day, she runs up to the booth, terrified, and asks if she can please hide under our table for a few minutes. Turns out a dude had been following her around the con all day and tried to get her to come up to his hotel room alone. She tells us she thought he was okay at first because he was wearing a My Little Pony shirt, but she didn't want to go anywhere with him, and he made her uneasy. At one point, after she'd refused, he grabbed her arm in the elevators and tried to get her to follow him. She ran, and now she wants somewhere to hide. We tell her of course, hurry her behind our booth and ducking station ourselves around her because she's 11 years old and all of us are prepared to physically attack the human trash heap who tries to duck with her. We're all dressed up in wings and ears and we're 100,000% prepared to rip them off and launch across that table to defend this kid. Eventually this very large dude strolls by, very obviously looking around, and she quietly points him out at us. At this point I'm ready to set him on fire, but when I ask if she needs me to go report him, she shakes her head. She doesn't want to get in trouble or make anyone mad. We see him a few more times over the course of the day because he keeps meandering over to our booth and just casually looking around. Eventually he actually stops to take a flyer from our table and asks us a question, and we coldly send him on his way. We start sending a co-worker with Babby whenever her parents aren't around and she wants to go check out Artist's Alley or the vendor's hall, because otherwise she's not safe. What the duck? How do you not report the pedophile trying to kidnap a kid to both con security and the ducking police? Yeah, this seems less like a do you want us to go report that guy situation, and more like a stay here with the rest of the group while we go report that guy situation. Tokyo Hotel from back in the day. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.